the nature of this mock draft is Drew is making the odd selections, if I'm not mistaken, and Headley's making the even selection. So at the top, Drew, you have Bryce Young, quarterback out of Alabama, going to the Houston Texans.
He was a guy coming in that had all the accolades, and I couldn't dethrone him, and I still can't dethrone him, even though they've lost 2 games now, because them losing has nothing to do with him. Matter of fact, when I look at all the quarterbacks that we're going to scout or we've scouted or whatever, he's the one guy who's the constant. You know exactly what you're getting from Bryce Young. He's going to do his part as a quarterback. He's not going to turn the football over, and he's going to get the ball to the guys that he's supposed to get the ball to so they can make the plays. And I don't know what else you can ask for. And he's outstanding with extending plays, not looking to run unless he has to, but in terms of extending plays to get the ball down the field, square up the shoulders, and throw it to the open guy. It's just that this year he doesn't have quite those weapons, and it's unfortunate. That's Alabama. You would think they would have them, but they
Yeah, I
don't.
put that on Saban. I put that on
Yeah,
Saban.
no, definitely.
You know,
Um, it,
he had that run, right? He had that run. Devontae Smith, Jalen
yep,
Waddle,
yep.
Henry Ruggs before obviously his legal concerns. I'm missing one of the guys. Um,
Jerry Judy,
Jerry Judy. And then, of
Devontae
course,
Smith.
previous to that, Amari Cooper, Julio Jones, you just kind of had consistently, you had these studs, these studs, these studs. They make the transfer. John Metchie's a good receiver, don't get me wrong, but they get the transfer from Ohio State, Jamison Williams. And then
Mm-hmm.
this year, you just, I think some guys may have transferred out, and there's some young players who haven't necessarily gotten the opportunity or stepped up to this point. So, yeah, I think that's a little bit of a letdown. A little bit of a letdown. Headley talked about the offensive line. Even that position group hasn't been as dominant as it's been in the past. So, um, but with that being said, Bryce Young has been terrific. There's no question about it. He has consistently raised the level of play, and he's the reason why Bama is competitive week in and week out. There's no question about it. All right. Moving on to the second pick in our top 10 here. Headley has the Las Vegas Raiders selecting defensive tackle Jalen Carter. Carter, effectively the best player in the draft overall.
I think it's him, Will Anderson, Bryce Young. I
Gotcha.
think those three. If you want to throw a Bijan in there too, you can. But I think those four guys are probably the top talents in the class. But Jalen Carter, man, he's dominant. And the reason I went Carter over Will Anderson is the Raiders roster. They still got Max Crosby. They just brought in Chandler Jones this year. And I wanted to go to fix the offensive line. I thought it was a little too early here, talking about the talent that's in the class.
Sure.
And Jalen Carter is going to fill that middle up, be disruptive with Max Crosby. Just imagine him and Max Crosby lined up on the same side of the line, getting after the quarterback or the running back. It's going to be crazy over there if they get Jalen Carter.
So you riding with Derek Carr? That's what it looks like.
Yeah. That's another. Yeah, we talked about that pre-production. Should I get a quarterback here? But I guess Carr hasn't looked good. But this defense might be looking worse, man. They can't even tackle on the defensive side of the ball in Las Vegas.
All right. Number 3. Drew goes with Jaren Hall. So the Panthers, obviously, another quarterback needy team. They've tried. They've done the Sam Darnold experience at Baker Mayfield. We've got some PJ Walker. They drafted Matt Corral. I imagine the new regime will like to go in a different direction. Perhaps a little bit of a curveball here, or a substantial curveball, a big 12-6 hook here. But
Hmm?
Drew, you've been consistent. I'm talking about in terms of the masses. I'm sure they would expect a CJ Stroud, maybe even an Anthony Richardson, right? Jaren Hall may come as a surprise to folks, but you've been very consistent in terms of your feeling with respect to this quarterback. What is it that you like about Jaren Hall over some of the other guys?
Ball placement. Doesn't turn the football over. He's athletic. He's kind of the head honcho there, man. I know he lost a couple of his receivers during the season, and they were still winning games despite those two receivers. And I think both those guys are going to be guys we're going to be talking about here at some point during the draft season. And Romney and Romney and Puka. And I think Puka, real quick, I just want to throw it out there. I think he's likened to Cooper Kupp. So I'm just leave that right there. Take it for what you want. And the Panthers, bro, they need a quarterback. They got 16 on the roster, and you look at those and you just kind of Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, PJ Walker. Who else on there, bro? Like, I think we've seen enough, and this is a team who's I don't know if they're going to keep their interim head coach here. I doubt it. They're probably going to go get the guy that they want, and that guy's going to draft his quarterback. And I didn't go Hendon Hooker. I didn't go CJ. I didn't go CJ Stroud because I think Jaren Hall is a better player, and I didn't go Hendon Hooker because I think part of his success big time is the system he's playing in, and I believe that Jaren Hall is going to be the quicker study. In terms of coming in and being able to be effective immediately and win football games immediately.
The Eagles, the rich get richer, frankly, here with Will Anderson, the edge from Alabama.
It's ridiculous, bro.
Man, it just hurt me just putting him here because, like you said, the rich get richer. Josh Sweat has really been putting it on. They got Jordan Davis, Hargrave, ballers on the interior. Brandon Graham, Robert Quinn, they're older players, so I think Will Anderson will be a perfect fit. And oh my gosh, Will Anderson probably arguably the best player in the draft class, going to one of the best teams in football.
Yeah,
it's just embarrassment of riches over here, man. And yeah, best player on the board, Will Anderson.
All right, at number 5, do you have Christian Gonzalez, cornerback 1 out of Oregon, going to Jacksonville?
Yeah, this is a defense that I think is actually pretty good, and I think they just need on the outside to get better on the outside, and why not grab the best corner, long, strong, fast, play both inside and outside. You can probably do a couple different things with him if you wanted, but yeah, I think we could have gone offensive line here, could have gone defensive line as well, but I think cornerback is probably the way you want to go here to kind of shore up that defense.
All right. With the 6th pick, Hadley, you have the Chicago Bears shoring up the offensive line with Paris Johnson Jr. from Ohio State.
Yeah. Offensive tackle number 1 here is CPGM. Paris Johnson, he made that move from guard to tackle flawlessly, effortlessly, and that's kind of how he plays, man. He just moves really well. The pass, the run game, he's dominant. And the Bears, you talk about a team that needs an offensive line help. I know they needed receivers as well. They should get that later in the draft, but we can't pass up Paris Johnson here at number 6.
Okay. Next up, with the 7th overall pick, this is the pick that they got in the Russell Wilson trade. We have Seattle selecting edge B.J. Ojulari. We've talked about Ojulari literally every week on the second half draft show. You have him slotting in here to give some more teeth to that pass rush in Seattle. Seattle obviously coming off a very strong draft class in 2022, and you get it started off on the right way here, Drew, with Ojulari in 2023.
Yeah, and he's a guy who can play in space too. If you want to do the outside linebacker thing, get cute as well in a 3-4, he can do that as well. But yeah, he's just consistent, man. Most explosive. Hell, you said he's the best pass rusher, right? Pure pass rusher. That's what you said.
Yeah.
Why would I not? Yeah. Why would I not draft him for Seattle here, man? They last year they went offensive line, and it looks like that's working out well for them at the moment. They got their running back and Kenneth Walker looking good, and Geno Smith looks like he might be the guy for them. You know what I'm saying? They running on, they doing pretty good. You know what I'm saying? But they just need a little bit more pressure, a little bit more power off the edge, and I think B.J. Ojulari, Aziz's brother in New York, and who's the better player, by the way, B.J. is. They just need a little bit more power and juice off the edge, and BJ's gonna give him that.
Yeah, we could be looking at a Boye Mafe, B.J. Ojulari tandem in 2023. I think that can be pretty explosive. You got guys like Poona Ford in the inside there, mixing it up. Yeah, it could be a really good young defensive line there in Seattle if they manage to get Ojulari. With the 8th overall pick, Headley, you have the Lions selecting Tyree Wilson, a guy that we've talked about quite a bit on this channel. Be sure to check out our standalone video at the Couch Potato General Manager YouTube channel on Tyree Wilson. There's some question marks here, but obviously there's a lot of raw ability and traits to really like here with this player. Why Wilson at 8, Headley?
We're going to get some hate for this one right here because some people have Tyree Wilson as a 2nd-round pick.
No, you're going to get some hate.
This guy,
Let's
man,
clear it up.
physicality. yeah, I'm going to get it. I'm going to take it. I'll take it for the team. But the physicality, I know that there's some motor issues, but when he does show a good motor, he just gets into the backfield, the tackles for losses, gets to the quarterback, just physical. Detroit Lions, they need a lot of help. I'm rolling with Jared Goff again. Their offense is set to go. They just got to stay healthy with Jameson Williams, St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, the offensive line. Jared Goff. I like the offense. It's just the defensive side of the football. They got Aiden Hutchinson last year. I was thinking about putting Kelee Ringo here, but Jeff Okudah has been playing really well lately. I think he has bounced back from that. Some people thought he might have been a bust, but he's bounced back. So Tyree Wilson to go next to Aiden Hutchinson and wreak havoc on the quarterbacks, man. I like it.
So this is the Rams pick here, and I imagine the Lions, they'll be selecting in the top half of the first round with their own pick, so they can come back and get one of those corners. At this point, we only have one corner off the board, so we're talking about a Ringo. You got Joey Porter, Cam Smith, got a number of really talented corners if you want to double down on the defense there and help out that back end. With the 9th overall pick, Drew, you have your guy, receiver 1, going to the Texans. Rashee Rice out of SMU. You talked about him previously. Now you pair him up with Bryce Young. And now you're cooking with something. You got Dameon Pierce in the backfield. You could probably add another back to the mix, considering how deep this class is a little bit later. Texans have, I think, 12 draft selections and maybe five or six in the first 3 rounds. So they're really going to be able to outfit this roster. And, considering all of the turmoil and all of the, angst coming out of the Deshaun Watson trade and that whole scenario, to be able to reset, a year or 2 years out with a Bryce Young, and then you add a Rashee Rice as your alpha in that receiving room. That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive.
Got Brandon Cooks over there to pair with him, so that should be a nice little match there. And they got some other receivers in the room. They just don't have a guy that teams have to worry about or key on, and you always want that guy within your offense, if not 2 or 3 of those guys, and adding this guy would be a start to that, along with your young quarterback.
All right. And rounding out our mock draft light here with the top 10 picks, Headley, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers going with Olu Fashanu, really talented young offensive tackle from Penn State.
Hey, man, do the right thing, man. Pittsburgh, do the right thing, man. The offensive line has been the weakness over the last couple of years, and they're not addressing the position. They kind of tried a little bit, but go get the guy, Olu Fashanu, the highest ceiling offensive tackle in this class, the movement ability, the power. He's only 19 years old. The sky's the limit for this guy. Protect your quarterback, Kenny Pickett. Get Najee Harris over 3.8 yards a carry. I don't know. He's not at 4.
Bro.
I know that. He's 3 point something. Let's get him over 4 yards per carry and draft Olu Fashanu.
All right. There you have it. A little mock draft for you guys out there.